All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to StormTALK. I'm Wave Meteorologist Brian Good on this Wednesday, the day before we get into an active setup on the radar. Welcome to the blog and the streaming, of course, on Roku, Fire Stick, as well as in the Wave weather app. A lot to cover, obviously, as we head into Thursday. But I should certainly at least mention that today is going to be one of the top days. Now, get this, I'm not fibbing. This is going to be one of the top days of the year. And I'm counting for the rest of the year thrown into the mix there. So to give you an idea of how nice today is going to be. Now, the only thing that will keep it from being a perfect score is going to be the idea we're going to have some high-level clouds already streaming in fact, and they will begin to rule as the day wears on and becoming more of a high overcast. That's the only thing that's going to shave off a few points of it being a top 10 day. But I do think it's going to be one of the least top days of the year. So I hope that, after you watch the block, you get outside and have a chance to enjoy it. Take the dogs out to their favorite park, let them run around, get some stuff done outside that kind of blew over or is cluttered up since the holidays on your patio, and you want to clean that up for a minute. Good time to do that. Obviously, we're in the time of the year. We're going to have more of these type of days coming our way. But I will say, too, winter's not done. Winter is not done. So I do think it will come back. So keep that in mind. Don't go too crazy here and get the lawn furniture out or the lawnmower ready to go. I wouldn't do that. No planting, all right? But I do think it is a good day to be outside and get some fresh air for once, all right? So I hope you guys do that. Hello to everyone. Again, your comments don't show up on any of our streaming services that are actually on devices, such as the actual app itself to Roku and Fire Stick. But if you're watching on social media, you are able to comment. That includes YouTube. So if you have a question or a comment, as I'm about to explain the entire setup coming up, audio is delayed. Is that what you said, Zach? I think there is a slight delay in the system overall. It's like, for me, it's just, I talk slow anyway. So maybe if I talk slower, it eventually will catch up. No, I won't do that. Sorry about that. I know the delay may be a little annoying, but just don't pay attention to what the motions. I'll try to stay still and just listen to the audio, and hopefully the graphics will match. All right. All right, any questions you got, let me know. But I'm going to explain a lot too. So let me explain first as much as I can. And then obviously, if you have any questions, I'll get some, I promise. Let's start with the severe risk itself as we head into the next couple of days. Now, this looks like a weird map because you really don't see the jump in the scale because it covers so much of the area. But today, there is a marginal risk that moves right into Grayson, parts of Breckenridge, and southern Hardin County. That is going to be for the approach of the warm front tonight. This is likely going to be after midnight that we may run into a few strong cells that will initially push into Kentucky, but they will become elevated. Remember the elevated issue where the bases of the clouds go up high. You can get hail with that, and you can get some gusty winds, but they are primarily lightning makers and heavy rain. So there will be raising. The bases will be raising upward as they move into wave country, but at the very beginning approach into the area, they may be still low enough that some isolated cases of severe weather could still indeed happen. So that's why you have the marginal risk out for that area there in southwest areas of wave country. Okay, and then tomorrow, we're all just about into the level 3. First time this year we've seen that. We went through that maybe 4 or 5 times last year altogether. But when you look at the scale, it's level 3 out of 5. I mean, that's pretty elevated. So that is significant. And it's including most of the area. So what has changed? Why the upgrade from a slight risk to enhanced? It's all about fuel. It's all about that gap we were talking about yesterday, that timing between the morning round and the afternoon round. How much of the warm sector will we get involved in? And if that becomes more established, then we've got bigger problems. And the trend is to indeed allow for a gap to form, and therefore bigger problems may develop. But it's not a situation, I will stress, that all areas are not even at high risk to get a severe thunderstorm, but some areas may not even get a storm at all that second round. All right? It will be a very broken, blotchy area line of supercells that will be moving through. Some will get hit, some will not. But the ones that get hit, those are the ones we need to watch. And then Friday, it's not listed on here. Oops, sorry, I didn't see the spammer. Didn't see the spammer. Let me get on. Let's see. The button there. Click yes, click no. Hit the block. All right, got him. Got him. All right, see, that was easy. They're out here. Okay. Friday, what's not on here is severe weather. But what should be on here is snow flurries. I do think we'll see that. What a change. It's a 40-degree drop. We're talking about maybe a 50-degree drop in temperature from Thursday afternoon into Friday morning. Wow. It's going to get your attention, right? So this is a mean front coming through. So let's start with today. As I mentioned, I'm not sure why I posted that. We can chill. That's an old graphic. Anyway, I missed the 90s. Look at that again. What was that? How did I get in my show? Oh, this is when we did that social media thing where I have you all put your faces in chat. Obviously, this has been a while. Love it. Fine. It's time. And I missed the 90s. I don't think it was definitely not the decade we're talking about. Anyway, hey, if you still want to chime in, go for it. It'll still count. All right, show you the tower or the SkyTrack camera outside. You can see the high deck of clouds that are beginning to move into the area from the south. This is absolutely key on how warm we get, but it's going to get quite warm today. The wind's still quite strong, not as strong as an advisory criteria, which is about 40 miles per hour, and it is lifting north and east. But even because we have enough warm air at play today, it is not going to relax. It is going to stay breezy all day today. It's not going to be excessive. I don't see anything like 40 miles per hour, 45 miles per hour. I see a lot of 22s. I see some that may get up to about 28 or 30 at times today. I can't rule that out. It's a classic setup for a windy, warm day. But it will be warm. That's the key part in the whole thing. 61 degrees in Louisville right now. It's not a bad way to start off the day, right? 61, fairly common in southern areas of Kentucky. Based, though, on the satellite, ignore the green there. That's just clutter. But based, they're actually animals, I believe, or birds this morning. The high clouds are rolling in across Kentucky. We have a good chance, just because of the layer here, this area of Kentucky is going to get probably to about 70 to 74. This area, probably, I would say 70 to 70, I would say 3. And around Louisville, because I have to separate Louisville, I think Louisville is roughly a 74 to 78 degree zone today. That's how it's looking right now based on the high clouds and the temperature profile and the wind. So just about everyone is going to get warm. But I do think the Louisville Metro has a good chance to get to over the record. The record is 74. A good chance to meet it, and a possibility of really beating it and going all the way to 78. That is possible. So I'm looking over the numbers now and let you know on midday. But let's go Mario Paint. Thanks, Ron. Appreciate that. I was really good at Mario Paint. It really was. I mean, that seemed like it. I used to draw my 5-day forecast on Mario Paint when I was at Western Kentucky University. No one knew until Mario ran by the bottom, but that was a different story. Anyway, you can see the high clouds rolling in. Notice there's a bit of a gap in it right there, really thin, right along the Kentucky area. So that, again, that's going to buy some time to get some decent amount of sunshine and a really warm setup today. Really nice. All right, so the severe outlook today, I showed you the corner of the state that is in the marginal, but that's what it looks like on a wider view. Memphis area, maybe they're in a bad spot. You got the Hatch area for that today. Really for this evening, they're going to see some EF2, EF3 type tornadoes, maybe even a little stronger around Memphis, eastern Arkansas area, right along the Delta area of Mississippi in general, all the way down. It's going to be very active. And again, that is the reason why it's drawn an arrow almost into Kentucky, is because it's going to feed northeast into Kentucky. And that's the reason why, again, there's that small potential. They could still be lower base storms, surface base basically is what we call that. And then they'll be rising up and become elevated as they move closer. Tomorrow's risk. I know it looks a little weird, but it's just because of the moisture flow, as you're about to see. It just surges up the front at the very last few hours of the moment of the front's life, if you will, as it moves through. But when you break this down more, your tornado threat with this is actually more still into the deep south. I can't rule out a tornado possibility here, but I think overall our setup is going to be based more on straight line winds more than anything, and the potential for hail with some of these supercells that roll through the area. And they will have some heavy rainfall, but because they're going to be a little more blotchy, I don't think it's going to be widespread problems with that. In fact, there's the wind potential, and you see that's the reason why we had the upgrade, was the potential to get straight line winds has gone up. All right, why do I always have snowflakes? Actually, let me turn this graphic out. I don't want to show you out this graphic. We'll skip it. Let's show you the HERP. What we're going to do is get through this afternoon. We're going to advance it. Everyone pay attention. Everyone pay attention. Note the time. Raise your hand if you can see the time. I think you all can. The time in the top left. Make sure to keep an eye on that. That's crucial. All right, so well into the 70s today. This evening, if you have plans to take the dog out walking or anything like that, you're fine. After midnight, everything starts to light up. This is the warm front moving in. Now, we have the alert day that will kick in for tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. because of not so much severe weather, because of very heavy rainfall hitting the area at a time when everyone's hitting the roads. Kids heading to the bus stop, that kind of ordeal. There's going to be some lightning. There's going to be some heavy rain. Could be some gusty winds. Could be a lot of pea-sized hail. But your tornado threat is not very high at this point. There's not, everything is not in the pot to be stirred up to create that kind of environment. It is certainly possible to get a few rotating storms, but I think right now your biggest issue here is going to be heavy rain and small hail. And it just makes for a messy morning commute, right? So that will continue through the morning rush. Now we get into the break. And it may not seem like too long of a break, but it doesn't take long here. We get some sun that's going to poke through the clouds. Cold front is getting closer. We start to build up the warmth. Model has 68. I think we are going to be 70 to 72. Good chance to hit that. So another warm day tomorrow. But tomorrow's warm weather is not a good thing. Sun tomorrow, not a good thing. It's one of those days. And then we deal with these cells that pop in on the radar around lunch. It could even be the midday show tomorrow, but around lunch, they'll begin to pop. They will be cellular as they move through, moves right across the area through 1, 2 o'clock. Notice that everyone sees one, but if you do get into the darker red, that's some of the problem areas. And then after that, it turns cold rapidly. We're not looking at a flash freeze scenario. The wind's going to take care of the roads, and the snow is not going to be a big snow maker. It's flurries, but it will be cold. We'll have wind chills in the teens Friday morning. Okay, another way to look at this is the storm energy. And I think this is really fascinating part of it all, because you see as we head into the overnight hours, we start to develop some of the first cells that try to approach. You see there's enough fuel that moves into Grayson, Hardin County and into Breckenridge County. I promise I know my counties. That is the zone. That's the reason why the marginal kicks in, is just enough energy gets involved. But that doesn't last very long. It gets wiped out fairly quick. And then we get into the heavy rain. Notice that we're at morning rush tomorrow morning. We don't have any of the CAPE or storm energy available at that point. So it's, again, the severe threat is relatively low. But now watch what happens when I hit this space bar and we get to midday tomorrow. You will see a tremendous amount of fuel gets added, all because of the heating, and there's a moisture surge. Dew points go over 60 degrees. So there's moisture that feeds in, and it's right into the heart of Kentucky. You can see why the enhance was drawn the way it was. It surges right up the front and right up 65 at lunch. Stays with us for a few hours and then quickly moves off to the east. Now, the rotation potential, we hit into the first few cells that try to move into Kentucky. They may be rotating. And make sure I'm clear on what this is showing. This is indicating potential for rotating storms in the area. That does not always mean tornadoes are going to touch down, to be clear, when you see this plot. But it has been a very growing, popular tool that meteorologists are using, because it really shows the potential for rotating storms, and it gives it a scale on helicity, is what we call that. So we are able to track the actual upward motion that we're seeing here, as well as the twist to it all, to get an idea of the cells and areas we need to watch. Because some that have very strong rotation, of course, can produce tornadoes. Some with weak rarely do, but they certainly can produce severe thunderstorm warnings, just because they may have some damaging winds. Now, this is the HERD model. As we head through the day, we're fine in the morning. Just got to watch a few of those cells again in the southwest areas. We get toward lunch tomorrow, then we see signs of a cell that tries to form right across Louisville, which I thought was interesting. It is a bit elevated on its signal, but I don't want you guys to say, oh, no, he just said we're going to get hit by a tornado in Louisville. I didn't say that. I'm not saying that. Never would I say that this far in advance. I can tell you, though, that will there be tornado warnings with that second round around lunch? I think there will be some tornado warnings, yeah. I don't know if there's going to be tornadoes, but I do think the rotation and the shear in general is going to be prime for tornadoes, at least tornado warnings. The reason why I'm not saying tornadoes are likely, it's the winds are a little different. If for just a moment, bear with me, if this map, pretend it's not a map, and I'm just drawing a chart here. The winds at the surface, if they are roughly a south-southeast component at the ground coming in that direction, and as you go up, they're a little more west in many cases, is what we face. That is a good setup to get a twisted motion, get a tornado. The problem here, or the good thing here, is as we head through midday on Thursday, the wind isn't so much southeast, it's more southwest, southwest. And therefore, the direction at the ground and the direction up above, relatively similar vectors, all right? There's not a lot of twisting, right? They are generally heading in the same direction in all the layers of the atmosphere. There's no crazy twisting that can happen. So the tornado threat is not high. However, we have a lot of speed shear. You can still get tornadoes to develop in that kind of setup, and that's the reason why we're not out of the tornado threat at all. It's just not as high as what Memphis, Mississippi, Alabama. They will face a much stronger southeast wind at the ground and a west wind at the higher levels. They're in a much more prime spot for larger tornadoes to form. But we're not zero. It's not a perfect scenario where we're out of the woods completely. But right now, I would say damaging winds would outweigh a tornado threat in this scenario. All right, anyway, these move on by, and then we're quiet, and we get into the snow flurries after that. Remember on your safety tips on this, make sure you have the Wave Weather app downloaded. I hope you already do. Easy to download. It's free, totally free. There's two different versions here. You got the news portion and you got the weather portion, okay? So make sure to do the weather. I think it's called Wave Radar. And when you download that, we have the 24-hour, just like the Weather Channel back in the 80s. We have a 24-hour weather channel that's running right now with maps that are obviously updated constantly, the latest info. We have our 36-hour forecast, which is hand-typed. We update that. It's instant. So hit the button on that, by the way. It updates it on the Weather Now channel. And we interrupt it. Every weathercast interrupts that channel automatically. And if we're doing a special report like I'm doing now, it's interrupting it. So it's a great thing to even have on your TV, just have it on the background and severe weather situations. And if we're obviously in severe weather, you're going to see us on, right? But all the alerts will hit. They'll scroll at the bottom, same as you would on regular TV, but it's all weather info. No weather radio. Make sure it's plugged in. Make sure it's got batteries. Get everything checked out there. It's time to do that. Severe Weather Awareness Week is coming up actually in March for the area. And charge your devices. We always say that, but it's important to charge everything up in case you lose power. At least you have that as a backup. So here's the quick recap of the timing on this. Again, thunderstorms in the morning. Main severe risk is more toward midday and afternoon. Tomorrow morning's issue and why it's in red is heavy rain and a disruption to your morning traffic. All right, that was a long-winded explanation of how this is all going to play out. I hope that all made sense. Let me know. Ask your questions now about it before I go into a quick look at next week. Ryan, geez, Memphis just had the ice storm and that messed up FedEx. Yeah, FedEx and UPS, I think, are going to be very busy trying to balance all this tonight, but certainly during the day tomorrow, although tomorrow most of the traffic is at night, so hopefully they'll be able to avoid the worst of this. I'm hoping so and everything. Marianne, tornado watches or warnings or watches. I think we will have both. Again, a watch is more a general area that is likely to see tornado potential. A warning is that it's imminent. It's happening now. Either it's observed by radar or it's observed by a spotter, and you need to take action. So a warning is way more serious than a watch is. I think we could have both issued, but a tornado watch, I do think it would be likely tomorrow. Yeah, I think they'll issue that. If I had to guess, I think they'll issue a tornado watch just after the morning rush, so probably about 8 or 9 a.m., something like that. Lisa, about how you built through this entire event. You'll have the heavy rain in the morning. I don't think you're going to have much on the severe weather side in the morning. I think you're heavy rain, maybe some hail, but you'll be in the zone for a few of the stronger cells, to form, and your timing would probably be closer to be 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, something like that tomorrow afternoon. Abby, we are in Bardstown, traveling to Nashville Thursday morning and afternoon. Do you think we should reschedule? I think you're fine in the morning. Just be careful. It's going to be messy on 65. And that would be the case really till you get all the way to Nashville. And the afternoon risk, if you're able to wait until after 2 p.m., you'll be in a way chasing it. It'll already be passing 65 by 2 p.m. and it's going to be mainly east of 65 in the 3 to 4 p.m. window. So the longer you wait to come back up 65, the more you're going to be on the other side of the front, and you'll be fine. But it's just your morning ride will be messy just because of heavy rain. So please be careful. Sean, any tornado warnings possible in the morning? It is possible, but I think it would only be the counties in the southwest section until they become elevated. That's the area I'm worried about. GR, Fairdale. Fairdale's the same boat with heavy rain in the morning. A lot of lightning, could be some early morning wake-up calls. We'll watch and see how things play out for the midday, early afternoon hours. Same for you. In Bardstown, Kathy, we'll be watching your timing a little bit after lunch compared to Louisville as far as timing goes. Angie, from almost 80 to wind chills in the teens in less than 48 hours. Ohio Valley weather is a roller coaster. You're right. It is going to be pretty active. It's quite the drop. And we're lucky it's not going to be a flash freeze, thank goodness. We have quite a bit of a gap there in rain and some wind to help us out. Can you show us the tornado potential in the immediate area? I sure can. And I'm assuming you're referring to tomorrow's outlook. So let me bring that up for you. Again, this is the straight line wind potential for tomorrow. This is the tornado potential. And you'll notice it's hatched down there across areas of Mississippi into Alabama. But here locally, it's elevated. It's at 5%. And that may not seem like it's a high number, but in relation to statistics and how the probability of a tornado within 25 miles of a point, it is significant, but it's not overly high on the scale either. We're not in the hatched. Okay? You don't want to be in the hatched. That's the main thing I always say about these outlooks. Once you get into the hatch, you really are just in a bad spot. And it is worth mentioning, there is a chance some of the storms in the morning that build in this area may try to block some of that surge in moisture up into Kentucky at midday. That's the only bust potential I see in the severe weather risk tomorrow, is that there's a big blob that forms south of us and it blocks. That's possible. I don't think it's likely, but given the setup and how tilted the entire process is, very positive tilt, I have seen it happen before. So yeah, there is a chance the whole thing could bust, and that would be a good thing. But right now it's still in the unlikely category for that to happen. So that's why we're going to go with this for now. Do you expect that to increase as the day goes on? No. At the moment, I think where they have it as a enhanced is good. We would have to have more of a southeast wind component at the ground. That would get us a moderate more than likely. But the idea that the wind fields are veering in a certain direction, this is becoming more of a speed shear scenario than directional. That's good. I think the enhance is right now probably it fits it best on its explanation of how this can play out. All right. Watch it be a shoot. I think it will be tomorrow morning. Yeah, a good chance, Zach. Good chance on that one. Kayla, Hardin County time frame tomorrow afternoon. I think in Hardin County, you're looking early. It's going to be like a midday, like 12, 1 o'clock. And then once you get to 2 or 3, it should be mainly east of you at that point. So lunch is key tomorrow. And certainly those of you just east of 65, Shelby County, all the way down to Marion, Washington, it could be really at a time when a lot of kids are getting to the buses in the afternoon. So that's something we're going to be aware of too, to try to make sure you guys got as much information. I'll be on a lot tomorrow. All right. I'll be on a lot tomorrow. I'll be live, hopefully not for the reasons that we're fearing, but I will be here. So I'll have more updates than usual. Again, I'm streaming. Make sure to download the app so you get the notification that I'm coming on, because you may not see it otherwise. Okay. All right. Let me get to the real quick to the extended. I got to run because I still got stuff to look over here to get ready for midday. We do have another system that's going to be rolling in as we head into about early next week. It's a relatively weak wave that'll move on by. I should mention the weekend's going to be quiet, by the way. This weak wave that comes by the area right now looks to be rain. There will likely be wind again with us Monday into Tuesday. But it looks relatively tame because what's happening is you're getting your core of the Southeast Ridge is no longer really a Southeast Ridge. It's now focusing as a Gulf of Mexico ridge. So now these storm systems are getting crunched as they move through the Ohio Valley. It does make it a little more interesting as far as wintry weather potentially, but it will certainly mean a lot of wind, It's not this one I'm really focused on. It's the one that comes in after it. It looks to be another strong signal in the wave train that's coming our way. This one's a strong signal, and it's another Thursday that we'll be facing maybe some rain, thunder. Right now, I know it's showing snow here, but at the moment, I'm thinking more rain. But I do think it's something to watch because it is going to be a mature cyclone, so it does have the ability to be interesting, and then we'll see what happens after that. But the fact that the ridge is recentering itself in this area is going to make it a little more complex on the storm track, and if the high above it is strong enough, it can try to push the storm track a little further down. It could, but I do think it's going to be a windy week overall. All right, guys, I appreciate you all. Let me go ahead and get ready to get ready for the show. Again, I'll have much more on this coming up on midday at 11 a.m. Decide on the temperature today, which again is going to be very warm. It's going to be record breaking. Get outside and enjoy it. No excuses on that. And I'll see you guys coming up on the flip side. Take care, everyone.